Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. I can't tell you how happy I am to be back in Farpoint Studio after a vacation, a illness, and a decent recovery, I should say. Today we're talking about Babylon 5. This is Into the Fire, and Sheridan has taken a risky chance with the entire White Star fleet and the non-aligned worlds who have decided to go along. And they are making their stand at this planet that has 6 billion people on it and a shadow base. The Vorlons are about to launch an attack on it, and they want to stand in the way of it. They have no way of defeating the Vorlons and the Shadows at the same time, if they could even beat either one of them. But they've got a shot at trying to at least get their attention and try to stop their fighting. And that's what this entire episode is about from that side of the plot. We have the chance of bringing all the parties around to seeing the uselessness of war. And it goes against the whole principles between the Vorlons and the Shadows, who one way or the other believe that having wars is a way to strengthen a race of beings rather than exterminate them, as it looks like they're doing. At any rate, this very chancy trick that Sheridan is trying to pull relies on having the first ones. And Ivanova and Lorien are together trying to find the rest of the first ones. And it's a promise that Sheridan made to Ivanova that she would be back into the fight. And the line that they use is one of my favorite in the series, that he gives instructions once Ivanova has finished her task to haul ass or she's going to miss the fight. And of course, Delenn does not understand the meaning of the phrase, and that leads to humor there. Meanwhile, in Centauri Prime, Londo has finally done the right thing. And there's a wonderful scene in there which harkens back to an episode of Veer dealing with Morden, saying one of these days, I will see your head on a pike, and when I do, I'll smile and wave. And that is, without giving too much away, it looks like there's not going to be a happy ending for Mr. Morden. At any rate, with Londo now in control of Centauri Prime, some of the crazier things that they were doing is being cleaned up, and there are still some things dangling there. Now, with all of this, I almost thought that it was basically ramping up to being the end of the series, but there are a dozen episodes yet to come in this season, and yet another season. Now, they thought that season 4 was going to be their last, and it was only a last-minute reprieve that brought them season 5. So what they did was that their last episode has been pushed to the end of season 5, and what else is in season 5 is tying up loose ends of other things that they've opened. One is what happened to Mr. Garibaldi in that transport. Another is what's to be of the Psi Corps. Another is what's going to happen to President Clark and the Earth and the isolation of Babylon 5. All of these things are going to have to be addressed, and that's going to be elements that will finish this season and take us into the next. However, if they had to end the series on this episode, that would have been a great place to stop it. Because it did finally close the book on the big story that they've been behind since almost the very beginning of what is it about the Vorlons, and then what's going to happen between the Vorlons and the Shadows, and what is that going to have an effect on Babylon 5. Everything else seemed to be just kind of noise. But we will find going forward that all of this stuff that's been kind of sprinkled in here is all going to come home. And I don't think the writing is going to suffer a single bit as we move forward in this. And I think some of the more compelling stories, the more human stories that they have in store are still to come. So I give this as one of the better episodes. I think last week's episode was great. This week's episode had a little bit more action, but also some very nice payoffs where we've been looking for that for quite a long time. So we look forward to what they come up with in the next dozen episodes and, of course, in next season. So I'd like to know what you think about it. Please put it in the comments below. And, of course, we look forward to your subscribing if you have not done so already. So thank you for joining us. And until next, we'll have Deep Space Nine tomorrow. We'll be back on our schedule. And we may have a new show coming in on Fridays. I haven't decided what we're going to do yet or whether there's going to be time for that yet. There's other things going on I'll tell you about later. But for the moment, thank you for joining us. Until next time, don't go far.